Dear international audience, it's my great pleasure to use this time to introduce about how Chinese people fight against the epidemics in history. So my title of talk today is a briefing of China's fight against epidemics. I would like to talk about the three following contents. First of all is an overview of China's fight against epidemics in history. Secondly, I will talk about the significant role of TCM, which is Chinese traditional medicine, in the prevention and treatment of the COVID-19. And the third, last, I will share the goal and talk about how Chinese people view the community of common destiny for mankind through the medicine, through our health concept to dictate our daily life. So first of all, let's talk about in history perspective. In history, China, like in other countries, also been plagued by the natural disaster and epidemics. But we all put this, all of them under control and brought the people back to the safety based on the Chinese medicine. So as all you know, Chinese people's population has been increasing along the history. And the civilization of China has been continuously inherited without broken by the natural disaster and the disease is because of Chinese medicine. So in that sense, Chinese medicine really made a great contribution to Chinese civilization and the Chinese population the increasing and also Chinese cultural continuity. So I will talk about from the record history of Zhou dynasty and Song dynasty, which is even earlier, and up to today and to the Qing dynasty history in the record book, and we have about 350 plagues happened in China. So I will follow the line of history. First of all, in the Zhou dynasty, which is 11th century before the BC, is the early civilization of China, particularly record civilization. And in the ancient Chinese character, we also record about epidemics. Then we also noticed this epidemics happens related to the abnormal climate changes. And for example, overheat in the summer and over cold in the winter. And also natural disaster flooding. And so in that sense, because of this natural disaster or the abnormal climate changes, it will always lead to the next season or next year's epidemics. So this is observation by Chinese historical record. And also Chinese people try to use the way to control this epidemics spreading. And so in the earliest documentation we had, in the Qing dynasty, which is after warrior time, the first dynasty who united different small kingdoms of China into the one country. This is first the Qing dynasty. That time we clearly document, how to use isolation hospital and confinement to separate, to prevent the disease from spreading. So this is the earliest documentation in the world history of medicine and about how we treat epidemics. We have also had a book we call the Yellow Emperor and the Classic of Internal Medicine, which is clearly document how we control the epidemics in the theory of Chinese medicine, and also in the way how we use the Chinese herbs, and also how we use the Chinese in acupuncture, and so forth. So in that book of internal medicine, the classical internal medicine, which is we really talk about how we use this theory and how we prevented the normal people from getting this disease, epidemics. So particularly one of the principles we used, we called, if we really build your internal strength and you really can sustain of the infection of disease. So means in modern term, if you really have strong immunity within your own body, you really can prevent it from getting the epidemic infection. So this is something, this is book already talk about it, which is the same concept we've been talking about in modern immunology concept. So this kind of concept is really been documented much earlier than the Western medicine indicated. In the Han Dynasty, also this is a great T-cell master, his name called Zhang Zhongjin, which clearly write his book about, Shanhan Zabin Lun, which is talk about exactly about how the people catch the cold and catch the flu-like symptom, and how we deal with this systematically. So this book has become a really classical book of Chinese medicine. So in that book, according to Master Zhang, indicated the first broader concept about the epidemic qi. That means the qi is kind of concept of Chinese medicine describe the energetic movement or like within the body or outside the body. So this qi, epidemic qi, means abnormal qi. If like a normal qi, means it's a healthy qi, which is prevented from the getting epidemics. So epidemic qi means the bad qi, which is bad to the health. So in that sense, this first concept was brought in by this book. And also talk about how do we prevent this qi, bad qi, from getting into the body in right time. So this is, because they have something related with the seasonal change, with the like infectious pathogenic appearance and so forth. So, and that talk about how we deal with this based on the, like what I talk about, the seasonal change and climate changes and so forth. And later on, after the Han Dynasty, there's another T-cell master called Ge Hong. First documentation about smallpox and tick disease, and in history of the world medicine. In other countries, it was known only until the early 20th century about the disease associated with one of the parasite called the chikungunya mite. About 1700 years ago, we already documented this. And a similar discussion about the smallpox can be found in the 10th century in Arab physician Rhazes. So we know Chinese medicine really made the early discovery about many epidemic disease. So this is one of the example we talk about. Master Ge, he also talked about first indicated that artemisia herbs can be used to treat it and the spread of treat infectious disease. That's exactly documentation, and the Nobel laureate Tu Youyou to use this documentation to isolate admission to treat malaria, and so because of that contribution, she won the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology in 2015. So later on in the Tang Dynasty, there's also a special book on the discussed epidemics and febrile disease in the book called Origin of Various Disease, which proposed to take the medicine in advance to prevent the epidemics. So that means the first brought the preventive measure to the infectious disease in that book. In Song Dynasty, we established a systematic traditional Chinese medicine health control measure from a government standpoint. Now also developed consensus prescription for control the epidemics, so that we utilize this prescription to treat the epidemics in larger population. So because we cannot treat it by individual basis, we have to prepare the recipe and make it available to the population in a convenient way. So this is in Song Dynasty they already developed this approach. And the follow on in the Jin Yuan dynasty, which is about 800 years ago, and we can differentiate the different infectious diseases to different symptoms, and also use different measures to treat and prevent different epidemics. And so this is, and because the approach has become more sophisticated. In Ming Dynasty, there's a book, a compendium of material medical record method of cooking, disinfection, air disinfection, and vinegar disinfection to the pathogens. And the cooking disinfection, which is very similar, like Louis Pasteur described about steaming, about a very similar approach. But we recorded this much earlier than Louis Pasteur, So this is so means from this historic development, you can see how we, become more and more knowledgeable to recognize the pathogen, and in different approach and different way to prevent it. In the later Qing dynasty, the last dynasty, we already developed a much more sophisticated the theory about the infectious disease, and we can identify specific pathogen to different the infectious epidemics. Then we developed a different approach to prevent this infectious disease, so forth. And from Qing dynasty and up to now, this is the even more well documentation about the epidemic infection in China. For example, syphilis B, influenza A, and so forth. And also coronavirus infection, pneumonia in 2003. So what we call that time is the SARS. In that time, when Chinese medicine also plays a very significant role. Although Western medicine has been well established in China, and in modern time, it's because of the uncertainty about the pathogens. So the Western medicine always to try to based on the concept of the known pathogen, they can develop the targeted therapy. So this approach prevented Western medicine to treat the unknown pathogen, to use specific medicine. But Chinese medicine look at the infectious disease in a different way. We don't know the pathogen in certain, but we still how to build up your body immune system to prevent the disease symptom from getting worse and worse. And also we can build up a stronger immunity to kill the virus by using the body immune system instead of use the chemical synthetic medicine and so forth. So this is why we can use Chinese medicine to treat it and unknown the cause the infection. So we already indicated at the beginning, the advantage of traditional Chinese medicine to treat the infectious disease is because regardless of the unknown pathogens, we just try to use the different Chinese medicine approach to boost the body health, what we call the healthy qi in Chinese concept. And then secondly, we use the Chinese herb to prevent the pathogen to get infected into the human body. The second. The third, before they get into the human body, we even can use other approach instead of herbs, like the Chinese medicine exercise, what we call the qigong. Also, we can to increase the human health condition, so that even during the epidemics, people will become less chance, become less likely to get infection by the pathogen. If we're going to compare the Chinese medicine with the Western medicine, we know that the Chinese medicine had the three advantages we just said. We get into modern time, we also need to learn the skill from the Western medicine as well. So in the epidemics or the fight against the COVID-19, we really made a great effort to integrate the Chinese medicine with the existing advantage of Western medicine. Here I want to give some example of how our university affiliate hospital participated into the fight against the COVID-19 in Wuhan. So we dispatched about 40 medical professionals, including physicians and TCM practitioners, and also nurses. And they work into in Wuhan, in the integrated medicine hospitals, and with the 36 inpatient bed. And we really demonstrate the power and the effectiveness of Chinese medicine in treating the COVID-19 in this hospital. And we can quickly bring down the symptom of this infection. For example, temperature, body temperature. Very quick, use Chinese medicine. And secondly, we can bring down the damage. We can lessen the damage to the lung or to other organs of the patient. This is the second advantage by using Chinese medicine. Third approach is we can, by working with the Western medicine approaches, and we can increase the patient immune system much quicker than just by using Western medicine alone to treat it. With these approaches, and plus the other other team dispatched by the National Administration of Traditional Chinese Medicine, and we made observation of more than 1,000 patients in Wuhan. So we used one of the consensus Chinese medicine prescription. We call the Qinfei Paidu, the decoctions in the 10 provinces and the cities. And people who took these prescriptions, none of the patients with mild condition become severe, and none of the patients with ordinary disease symptoms become even severe and become worse. And this is prevented getting worse and worse. So this means these prescriptions really worked. It's truly demonstrated Chinese medicine can really work in treating this unknown disease, a novel disease brought by this new virus called COVID-19. So we talk about the approaches, advantage of Chinese medicine. I already said it just means they can quickly reduce the fever and cough symptom, and controlling progression, improving human immunity, and also this symptom we can combine with this approach therapy can combine with the acupuncture and auricular point pressure and the Tai Chi and Baodanjin exercise, so forth. And also this Chinese medicine not only can treat the infection itself, but also Chinese medicine can bring another symptom brought by this disease. For example, the anxiety, insomnia, abdominal distension, and poor appetite, and so forth. So in the end, by talking this lecture, we just tell our international audience, even we have a well-developed modern medicine, what in China we call the Western medicine, still traditional medicine can play a significant role into the treatment of the many diseases, particularly when we deal with a new emerging disease like we see this year, COVID-19. Chinese medicine have their own approaches and theory to deal with this kind of disease, because his advantage is really not to worry about the cause of pathogens. We may deal with novel pathogen. It doesn't matter. But we just want to deal with the human bodies itself. By regulating the human body's physiology, immune system, all kinds of different systems, we can prevent the human being from getting first infection. Secondly, even to get the infection, the developed symptom, we bring down the symptom. And if they become more severe, we can combine it with the Western medicine. We can bring down severity of the symptom to the mild symptom, and then eventually to completely recover from the symptom. So this is 3 levels of the Chinese medicine can do in summary of this. So by saying this, we really want to let our international audience know the Chinese medicine from the early inception to today, they have a wonderful goal. It means regardless of your ages, your cultural difference, your religious difference, we will treat every single patient equally. This is the ultimate principle of Chinese medicine. So it's really a kind of reminiscent to the common value of Chinese President Xi Jinping indicate what we call the community of a common destiny for all mankind. The means of Chinese people really had this kind of belief in terms of how we deal with different human beings with much diverse background, a religious culture background. So this is what we call, this is our value in terms of dealing with the patient, and which is rooted into the traditional Chinese medicine for several thousand years. As the TCM practitioner, I would like to share this value with you as well by talking about this COVID-19. So in the end, we would like to wish you all well, and we should not worry, get anxious about this disease. I know that many epidemics happen in many other countries. If you happen living into the epicenter of the epidemics, or living in the country who has a high incidence of this infection, please, think there has the other approach. If we are short of the existing medical approach, just think about it. There's another alternative approach in China. We call the traditional Chinese medicine. We're also here to help. You can write to us, let us know. We are willing to help. So because we know this is a truly value of Chinese medicine, wholeheartedly believe that's what we call the community of a common destiny for all mankind. Thank you for your attention.